Let's learn how to give ourselves targets. Whenever we are learning something new, we are going on a journey. Some of these journeys are long and some are short. For example, some people learn how to give basic first aid. Other people take the longer journey and become doctors. Some people learn how to play tennis. Others become Wimbledon champions. The journeys we take and how long we travel for depend very much on our ambitions, our interests, and our opportunities. As with all journeys, it's important to know where you're trying to get to. You need a destination. You need a goal. You need a target. Learning something without giving yourself targets is a bit like playing basketball without a hoop. You don't know how well you're doing, and you don't know if you're making any progress. Many learners rely on their teachers, on their coaches, and on their parents to tell them what they need to do to get better. And whilst it's good to listen to your mentors, the best learners are able to set themselves targets that get them from where they are now to where they want to be. Of course, setting yourself a target is one thing, achieving it is another. Every year, people set themselves New Year's resolutions. Most of these are never achieved. So how do we set ourselves targets that we will achieve? This is where you need to be smart and set yourself smart targets. Here are 10 terrific tips that will help you to do this. Tip 1. Make your own new term resolutions. It's important that you get into the habit of giving yourself targets, and a great way to start doing this is to set yourself a target at the beginning of every term. Writing these down and sharing them with your family, friends and teachers helps make you more committed and motivated to achieve them. Put these targets somewhere you will always see them, on your bathroom mirror, or by your bed, or on your school table. Tip 2. Read and discuss your school reports with your mum or dad. It's amazing how many students don't actually read their school reports. Those that do often focus entirely on the grades and scores they receive, but don't take time to read and digest their teachers' comments. Focusing only on grades is a bit like coming off the tennis court and asking your coach how you did, and for them to simply say that you won 6-4. Not very useful. It's obviously better for a coach to give you information that you can use. Your ball toss was a little low on your serve. Your topspin forehand was excellent, but your footwork on your backhand was poor. So of course you do need to look at your grades. But it's the comments that contain the most important information, because they explain what you're doing well and what you need to do to improve. In other words, your next steps. And identifying your next steps is what all good learners do. Tip 3. Ask your teachers and coaches what you need to improve upon. Hopefully, your teachers and coaches are already doing this. But if they're not, take responsibility for your own learning by asking them. And when they do give you feedback, note that good feedback gives you something to do. If all they give you is praise, ask them to be more specific. For example, if your coach tells you, "Well done," find out what you've done well in. Tip 4. Be specific when you set yourself a target. One of the most common mistakes when setting yourself a target is being too vague. I want to get better at writing. I want to swim faster. I want to learn to play the guitar. Targets written like this are not specific enough and do not make it clear exactly what you aim to do. Let's change them a little. I'm going to learn when to start a new paragraph in my stories and start organizing my writing into paragraphs. I'm going to learn how to tumble turn. I'm going to learn to play the 7 beginner chords on the guitar. Tip 5. Set targets that you can measure. Unless you can measure your targets, you'll never know whether you have achieved them. The truth is, most targets that are set are not measurable. I will read every night. Does this mean that if you read 1 sentence a night, then you've achieved your target? Surely not. Targets that are measurable often have numbers or times attached to them. I will read 15 pages of Harry Potter every night. I will read Harry Potter for 20 minutes every day. Not only does a measurable target give you a clear understanding of what exactly achieving it requires, it's also much more motivational because any level of performance achieves an unmeasurable target. Tip 6. Give yourself targets that are attainable. You'll probably not try very hard if you think your target is impossible to achieve. At the same time, if your target is too easy to achieve, then you will also not be motivated by it. Targets need to be achievable but challenging. Tip 7. Give yourself targets that are relevant and important for you. If you don't feel a target is worth pursuing, you simply won't put the effort into achieving it. But this does not mean that you should only set targets that excite you. Sometimes a target might seem a bit dull, but it's still important. Often we need to learn skills that are not especially exciting. The reward comes afterwards. This is called deferred gratification. Learning the basic scales on the piano is not that much fun. The fun comes later when you're able to put these skills to use and play songs. Tip 8. Give yourself a time frame in which to achieve your targets by. Your targets should always have an achieve by date, a time frame by which you aim to complete them. Targets that have a short time frame are more motivating than targets that give you a longer time to achieve them by. For example, a target of reading for 20 minutes every day for 7 days is more motivating than a target of reading for 8 hours every month. This emphasizes the importance of breaking down large targets into smaller ones. Think about targets as being stepping stones rather than giant leaps. Tip 9. Avoid giving yourself targets that compare you to other students. I will become the best speller in my year group. I'll be the top scorer in football this season. I will get the Student of the Year prize for my class. Whilst this type of target is often set, especially in sports, it may not be achievable irrespective of the effort that you put in. As well as the effort you put in, success also relies on the skills and efforts that someone else puts in, something you have no control over. Tip 10. Plan the small steps you will take to achieve your target. Having set yourself a SMART target, it's important to think about the small steps you'll take to achieve it. For example, if your target is, by the end of this week, I will learn my 6 times table. Break down the steps that it will take you to achieve this. Number 1, look at the 6 times table and identify any patterns I see. Step 2, identify which answers I know and which I don't. Step 3, write down the calculations I don't know onto cards and practice them during each car ride to school. Step 4, have mum test me every night. It's important that you take responsibility for your own learning. Whatever you are learning, take a moment to think about what you can currently do and what you are not yet able to do, and then decide on what your next steps will be. These next steps will become your targets. Write these targets as SMART targets.